Hello, everyone. I am super excited about this episode. I'm going to make sure that everything is going live here. Um, okay, I don't see it yet. All right. If you see it, you can throw in a comment there. I don't see it live yet. Okay. Looks like we are live. Um, all right. So a couple things that went into all of this. So Yoris and I did a bunch of interviews, actually probably about close to 20 interviews. And I'm going to bring him here in live as well.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Yoris. I was just kind of giving a little bit of background on kind of what went into some of this. So Yoris and I met the first day just to make sure some of the sound stuff and all that worked, and I was actually pleasantly surprised that it.
Dude, I don't think we could have done that without you could have done actually without the Plantronic stuff. I think I've tried to record before on shows, and trade shows is one of the worst things ever. Big rooms, a lot of echo, a lot of people walking around, a lot of sound, overhead announcements. These things are amazing. Really
It
amazing.
was crazy. Like, I had to stop because the overhead announcement was so loud, and you were like, "Why are you stopping?"
Yeah, exactly. Why are you not talking? I'm confused. So those things are great, and I think so. On the technical thing, I think we got lucky with using those Plantronics headsets, and of course the guys helped a lot by giving you kind of your own little room, your own little space.
Yeah. And we had the 3D printed chairs by Dive Designs. Those were pretty cool. So
Yeah, it was nice.
I'm gonna bring some of these up, but we've got probably not as many categories as we had last year, right? I pared them down a little bit. We kept on
Yeah.
going and going. I mean, it's still probably 17 or 18,
Okay,
but
man.
I'm
Well,
really
first, just about AOPA generally,
yeah,
what
yeah.
do you think? Are you more jazzed up than usual? Are you much more positive? Was it kind of a downer? What was your overall feeling?
Overall feeling was I feel pretty excited about some things. There were some things that I hadn't seen before that I'm really excited about, and so that's like the best of show.
Hmm.
I think we're going to touch on that, and I hope that we're going to give them a little bit of like a little bit of a boost because they're not in the U.S. market. Oh man,
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away here.
Okay. 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 Fine.
But I'm super excited about that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and bring this presentation up, and so it'll be a lot like last year where we have
Sure.
and then we'll talk a little bit about it. But you know, you were there for the journey of um, those interviews where we were just like it was like a train, man. It was
That
like
was
it just kept
crazy.
on going. How was that for you?
I thought it was amazing. I didn't know, like, you did a great job, dude. You did an awesome job lining up all those people. The people did a great job as well, showing up on time, leaving on time, that kind of thing. I thought that cat herding element there went really, really well.
Yeah,
Because you always have people, especially at shows, like they show up late, they don't come, they forget because it's a show and they're somewhere else.
yeah.
And so I thought that whole thing was amazing, dude. And I just thought, and I didn't know how many people. So I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll talk a little bit. There was another person. Oh, this guy, I know this guy. And then I'm like, there's another one. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can stay around for another one. And then I'm like, oh, there's another one. I think I ended up eating at like 9 o'clock at night or something, like 9:30, which is not like
Yeah, well, hopefully
normal for
you're
Spain, but not for
yeah.
me. Let's say.
Hopefully your girlfriend gave you a little bit of grace there.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
anyway,
Ultimately, yeah. But hey, it was great, dude. I thought, and it really validates the approach of being able to, um, being there,
yep,
helping the show. I think helping these people get their word out. and also being able to get this many people live in such a short, like for them, it's also a really easy interview. They're there anyway. They walk in, sit down, talk to you. 10, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, they're gone.
Yeah.
Nothing is that fast.
Yeah.
Any other interview is going to take a lot more time planning and rescheduling and all the stuff. So I think it's a really, really great. And I'm astounded that it went this well.
You had your I mean, to be honest, when I was setting up, I was like, I had it in my head how it was going to go, and it didn't quite go that way technology wise.
Yeah.
But then we were kind of just able to bring it all together, and so that was
awesome,
fun.
dude.
So,
and you get good responses on it as well. Like
really,
we put it online, and people were positive in the comments. I think
very positive in the comments, and it's, and it was live, and what's crazy is, that last one that we did was almost 3 hours long, and there's a lot of views on it. So, obviously you can scrub through it and see what you want there, but yeah. So, well, let's get going here. So these slides are not beautiful, so very homemade looking, and because that's what it is. It was a homemade.
The second AOPA Awards.
Yep. So let me get over here.
I'm the second year already.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. So I'm going to share this.
Time is accelerating anyway. Like August was just like,
right.
I'm already midway in September, and I'm like, what is happening? So it's like, it's crazy anyway.
So this is kind of a throw to, the Ignite everything. It wasn't these colors, but it was very colorful. So our first award was a double diamond person. And it was Alps. And so you might not have noticed, but in the background behind it was always the Alps booth. And Alps always shows up big for these shows. And I actually need to catch his last name. They have a Nick who works with them for them. Is super energetic, very knowledgeable about their products, super friendly. And I just felt like it was they were positioned right, when you come into the show, and it was just a great, beautiful booth, a great way to step foot into the show. Boom, you're there, you're hearing the orthotic prosthetic stuff. And they had some new stuff to show. So they had a new liner, and they had a knee as well. And so I thought that was really great.
And did you like the booth design as well? Did you just like generally that it was pretty, or did it have just a layout that really was inviting and kind of really enticed people in, let's say?
Yeah, and I don't know if this makes sense, but it was a big booth, but there were sections where you could have a private conversation with somebody that was with it. So I thought they just had done a really nice job with it.
Yeah, you have these big booths that are just like, whoa, but they're not really engaging. And you have these big booths with the cool people area, and then everybody else is out. But I think booths designed for people because there's always people that just want to come in, they want to learn, they want to do their own thing, they don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to learn, they want to touch or feel stuff, do their own investigation, and make their own decision.
Yep.
And there's people that want to talk and they want to ask, like, this is more you and me, I think. They want to be like, okay, what do you mean? Who is this? Why are you doing this?
Yep.
And I think the idea when you cater to both those groups of the independent investigation folks and the I want to engage with someone folks, then I think it's a really, really good idea from a trade show perspective.
Yeah, agreed. So the next one, you'll get a kick out of this one. Yeah. Creative furniture. Nice. It had to be Dive Design, the 3D printed.
It's just corruption, Brent. This is corruption.
So what's interesting, though, is it wasn't actually my idea. I didn't even think about this, but this is from Al from Mitsubishi. Yeah. He thought this was really cool, and it might be a little bit of corruption on his side because it was Mitsubishi PETG, glass-filled PETG that was put into those chairs. So it might be a little bit that he wanted a little bit of a shout-out to. But Dive Design, Adam from Dive Design, Decibel Furniture, super cool things, and they were actually very, very comfortable. So it was very cool.
Do you see any applications for wide, medium format, large format?
The only thing that I can really think of is maybe like the spinal side of things. And this is an interesting conversation that I had with somebody, though. It was like, and it was actually Al himself. He was like, last year I was like looking around and I'm like, man, you could 3D print all this. And then when you have the discussion of like
Mhm.
how we actually make certain things, have molds,
Mhm.
vacuum form, it's like, you know what? 3D printing probably isn't the right solution for that because you already have a good solution. And so
Mhm.
those are conversations worth having. Like you can literally do a spinal brace in, 8 minutes to carve it. And if you've got the plastic in, you know, uh, half an hour for the plastic to cool after you vacuum form it, you cut it out. Under an hour, you could potentially have a body jacket ready to go where you're going to be waiting, even in the medium format side of things, 5, 6 hours, and you still have to trim it out. So it's a little bit of I would say give and take. And so for
Mhm.
spinal stuff, it actually probably doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like adaptive furniture. Like if you need a bath, uh, but you
Well,
don't want to like throw out your whole bath, but you want some bath and you have paralysis on the left side or something, and you want to be able to come in and out of the bath by yourself.
yeah, I
Whatever.
think it's interesting, and I think
Yeah.
there's definitely custom stuff along with that. But it goes back to that conversation that we had a while ago. Like that becomes like a premium line that only certain people could afford, and
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
okay, right?
Yeah, but no
All right,
one's bringing the cost down. I think there is an opportunity there to do that inexpensively.
okay. So
Okay.
best
Next.
presentation.
Okay. I was
There,
not
there
here for
was
this. I have no idea what
there
this
was
was.
there was a lot of great presentations, but when I think of best presentation, it was a person that captivates a room, right?
Mhm.
And there was
Yep.
literally no one on their phone. They were all watching,
Okay.
finding out, what was
Yeah.
going on, and that was Katie
Nobody
Richmond.
like doing all.
And we actually interviewed Katie
Yeah.
not too long ago. She does work for Advanced 3D, but this is not corruption. I promise you.
I
She
don't know.
held
I don't know.
held the people's attention and did an amazing job. And people like after her talk and after
Mhm.
everything, you should have seen the people kind of like start swarming to find out more
Yeah, that's always good.
about that. So always good.
That's,
All
and,
right.
and did she do like? Was there something like because we're always trying to be better presenters, right? Was there something she did that you think was really good? That was really good from a presenter perspective?
Well, I thought what was really cool, and I know it's the rule of threes, but she had like three very different applications of additive
Mhm.
manufacturing
Mhm.
that literally hit that no one in the room would not have come across one of these applications.
Mhm.
And so I think it really just helped people be like, oh, yeah, I think we could do this or that. And it just opens up this idea of additive manufacturing as a tool to
Mhm.
solve problems that are otherwise difficult to solve with traditional manufacturing.
Okay.
So
So
I thought it was good. Now
best
this one is on you, Yoris. We could That's why I left it blank.
yeah.
Um,
What
so
what
so
you
what do you
always
think like the best interview for the podcast? Which one stuck
oh
out?
my
And you can
goodness.
say like, hey,
You
all
have
of them were
okay. We
great.
need we need to have our audience know that you ambush me with this stuff all the time.
Yep. So that's the premise of the show, right?
Yeah, I know. But they probably don't know. They don't know that I'm here. I'm just like I get the link like 3 minutes before. I'm like running, like, oh wow, water, and then I come here and it's like, what? What were your best interview? Like what?
This is perfect. That's why I left it
Oh
blank.
wow, dude.
So, I mean, we had a
Okay,
bunch
okay.
of CEOs, right?
Yeah,
So that was a lot of fun. And
yeah. So I didn't do all of them because you did some.
but
Um,
let's just talk let's talk the Saturday one where the kind of the marathon one. We had a Paul from Myomo. He was great. I mean, talking about the ringing of the bell on the stock exchange and all that. And then you have some of the other ones that are younger entrepreneurs. So I think having that gamut was pretty great. And I'm going to take out the cop out. I would say that all of them were great.
sure.
What stuck out to you in all those? Like even a theme wise. So I remember you saying like it's amazing that people have they're all entrepreneurs, right, with different
Mhm,
visions, different thoughts
yeah.
about what to do, and they all have their ways to do it.
Mhm,
I think the other surprising thing is most of these people were not clinicians. They're CEOs,
Mhm.
and they're professional CEOs, right? So some of them were inventors.
Mhm.
Um, oh, I know which one you probably like the most. You like
Yeah,
putting your hand up to the screen and watching the fingers move on that
dude,
hand for a psionic.
that was really good. That was as a demo went. I didn't know about this. I did not know about this at all. You were like, "Oh, I've seen this before." I had not seen this. So I think as a demo, as like a live demo to do all the time, I thought that was fantastic, dude.
Okay.
I thought that was really, really good. I
If I
thought that
could,
was really good. And then I'm trying to find out I'm trying to look at like who else? Who do we have? Um,
so we had,
Cigar was nice.
yeah,
Um,
Spenty's LP from
yeah,
Spenty.
Louis Philippe Bros from Spentis. I
Yep.
thought he was super likable and very clear.
Yeah.
And he was complaining about he wanted to learn more Americanism and stuff, but I think it was actually really like the French is always adorable. The French kind of accent's really adorable. So I thought he was really clear, and he seemed really approachable and open.
Yeah.
So I really like that in the sense that when I asked a question, I didn't think I was getting like a boilerplate answer. I thought he was like really like talking to me.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good. I thought he was really So Ideal, of course, the Sonic was really good. I like the ice bomb thing as well. The Dutch guy with a mechanical kind of tremors kind of
Yeah.
device, because I think 9 out of 10 people. But that was not so much the interview. The interview was okay, but the device,
Mhm.
where I was like, if you would have just asked us or any other people to design a device for people with tremors generally, or we would look at motors, we would look at the dampening compensation. I would probably look at all sorts of 3D printed dampeners and stuff like this. And this is just so low tech, but then ingenious, that I think is kind of wonderful. But that's more of the device. I think the
Yeah.
interview was okay, but clearly he wasn't as practiced as the other guys were.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
I
I
thought
think.
also the other psionic employee, she was really nice. She's
Oh, Ani was great. Yeah.
she was the patient advocate person.
Yep.
I thought she was really, really great. I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Well, I think that
I'm gonna have to
they're
go
all.
with psionic for the demo because I just think that's brilliant.
Yep.
I think that's brilliant, and also the psionic for the demo. So I
Okay.
deal with the demo because I thought that was just really nice, and it really kind of made me think of like all these because I've had these headsets on, right? The ones where you stick to your head. I've had
Yeah.
these hairband kind of things on as well. And for me, it was really like, oh wow, we can do this in a computer vision type of way, much less invasive. Much less pervasive, like as in you could do it anywhere maybe, and you wouldn't have to plug into another device on your head, right?
Right.
So I like that very, very much.
Okay. Well, let's go to the next one here.
Yeah.
Best new material. It's not a new material, but
oh my god, Brett! No, this is all like
PK 5000. So here's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
A powder bed fusion we know creates great definitive style devices, but there's always this like safety factor, some would say impact resistance, that's necessary for stuff. And so I just had a couple samples there, and this may be breaking news for you, Joris. So Luke Rogers, who was the kind of the president of Jabil Polymers, that sort of thing, actually has spun off that polymer division to a new division called Loomis Polymers.
But is it within Jabil or
no?
Is it
it's outside of Jabil.
Ah, okay.
So this
for
is
people that don't know, because that's another thing. Like Jabil had a whole. Well, Jabil does a lot of 3D printing for clients, right? There's a contract manufacturer, really large. They have like they'll do like the best example I can come up with. They buy like 2,000 CNC machines for the on unibody MacBooks to drill them all out, that kind of thing. And they had a 3D printing thing that they made printers. They made printers for other people, and they made material. And they did the service for contract manufacturing services. And now that the material part where they did powder bed fusion and filament materials, and they developed some really interesting ones, they spun out that. And I didn't know about the spin out. I knew that they were thinking about that, but I didn't know it actually happened.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
So we're going to actually have Luke on very soon, and he'll be able to tell us a little bit more about it. But people's eyes got really big. Like this type of material and the flexibility of it just raised a lot of eyebrows, and this is like, hey, this is what we've been looking for a long time in powder bed fusion. So
you've been testing this, and it's a extremely high strength but still processable material. And also, people may not know this, but we have talked about this on the podcast as well, and some stuff like some of the high strength powder diffusion materials, like PEEK, is what you think of, PEC. The problem with there is your recycling rate is low, so you basically have to throw away the whole build. So you have, like, usually you've got parts, you've got powder lying around, and the powder, it gets built up along with the parts, and then you just recycle it a certain amount of time. And as you know, Brent, more than a lot of people, that recycle rate is really big impact on your bottom line. And it has a really, really big impact. If you can recycle more material, if you can put it in there a couple more times or put more in there, it's much more profitable. You actually and typically we used to always say that people will throw away about half of the material unused. And if you're buying that stuff like $100 a kilo, or sometimes it's 200 and something, whatever, right? Then of course that really adds up.
Yeah.
But these recycling rates are really key to profitability. And with the high strength stuff, you can recycle nothing.
Yeah.
So you're throwing away the whole build, right? All the support stuff, you're throwing it away, and it's super expensive. And with these materials, you're getting the high strength properties, and still you can recycle, still you can support it properly, still you don't have a lot of warpage. So it's like, I think for the user, it's really cool, but also for the service, that this is really, really beautiful material. It's really been developed to be made and to be used, not just been developed because these guys had a grade of something lying around. They're like, oh, okay, we got we make 3 tons an hour of this stuff. Let's find something to do with it.
Well, and Ani, the psionic user experience person, was wearing a socket with this.
Really?
On it, so it was really great.
Yeah, because you've been testing this, right? And you love it.
I really do. So it's really great, and I truly believe. So I've talked to a couple people, and I truly believe that they are it is the most recyclable material. So you can actually regrind it, and it can be injection molded. So like literally you can use every single bit of this material. So
you should try it, see if you can turn it into filament.
So that is next. Yes.
Yeah. You should get a 3D Evo one or something. Like if you can get a 3D Evo machine, right. Try it at home. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's awesome, dude.
One, we've had Mike on and Ryan on from Filament Innovations. They have the Filament Innovations Icarus, the new generation with the Dies Designs hardware, but then they also have the new pellet extruder, the Atom, that is up and going. And I know that Mike spent a ton of time getting that thing ready for the show, and so I think that's great. So it's a beautiful machine. They were cranking out sockets, all kinds of sockets, and doing it, relatively inexpensive. Once you factor in the cost of the machine, the material cost was very low.
Yeah, I like that. I like that pellets reduce the material cost. And the problem's always been getting something out there. You don't have to mill for like a week and a half, So making it kind of doable in the final finish, and also getting the inlay adhesion right to make it actually strong.
Right.
Yeah, that gives us moseying along down to the final socket kind of thing.
Yeah.
Towards. Let's say towards.
I'm gonna try something really quick because I just saw this come up in my preview screen. So I'm gonna stop that, and I'm actually going to flip this.
Oh wow!
Look at this. Ooh. So if I come over here, I can actually show it here.
We're gonna be broadcast TV stuff. We're gonna have
heck yeah, man.
Anchors and like desks and stuff.
Okay, so the next one is one of we've had Matt and Dale on, and this is kind of comes as no surprise, best independent manufacturer, and that is the guys from Coyote.
Okay, but I now see the best use of pellets slide, right?
Okay, so because I'm I forgot to put my mouse back. There we go. Best independent manufacturer.
I love Coyote. Okay, so my problem is I don't know that many other independent manufacturers.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean? And I really like the guy, the guy that wouldn't stop talking. With this whole systematic way of doing things and by building things. And what was his name again?
Dale.
Yeah. Yep. I like him as well.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing is really, he has a very kind of, we always look at innovators and inventors as being kind of like this eureka moment kind of people. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a befuddled professor. Now this guy like, no, dude, we're like,
Yep.
it's a process.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
100%. Okay.
So I like him too, but hey, Coyote's super sympathetic company, super
Yep.
smart products, and a broad range of stuff as well. Like a crazy broad range of stuff, from the basalt stuff to the to the closure mechanism, stuff like that. I think it's more all over the place than somebody saying like, hey, I'm going to make this one AFO thing and then keep making stuff around it, you know?
Yep.
So I think that's really good.
Okay. You're going to love this next one. And you have no idea about them. It's a company called Radii.
No, sounds really cool.
Okay.
Plus 10 startup points for Gryffindor.
Yeah. So yeah, and that means a lot coming from you, Joris, because you sure do tend to give some people a hard time. We won't mention them, but hey. So what's cool about them is they have taken scan data that was before something has been modified, and they have the modified model, put it together into a machine learning AI-ish type of thing. So
it's like Fourier fast transform with like AI or what?
Yeah. So what you do is you take a scan.
I know what they did. They did inside outside. They did inside outside. They gamified inside outside. So they're on the normals or not? No,
I'm not exactly sure what they did, but it was amazing. So you take a scan of your patient's limb.
Yeah.
And then they will actually apply their model to it, give you some suggested ways to modify. So you can use the way that it comes out of the learning model, or you can take some of those things away and add your own. But nonetheless, there's some sliders and things of that nature that make it very quick, that get to a final model. And here's where it gets really interesting, is when they did their study. So they did like, hey, the prosthetist fits their version of the leg, and they fit their version of the leg out of the model. It was a smaller study. I believe it was like 30 or 31 patients. All 31 patients that were in their socket, based off of their model, walked and were comfortable. And it's amazing. So and here's the deal. Even though there's shapes that I wouldn't necessarily, quote unquote, agree with or what have you, guess what they have that I don't have? Data.
Yeah.
They have the measurements and the outcomes that go along together. And so the reality is they're more science-based than anybody. And so really cool company.
I've never heard of it, dude. Never heard of it.
Well, we'll have to have them on. So yeah, we didn't.
It's a question of time before somebody does like the inside outside face normals and then solves it like chess or whatever, you know, and then reconstructs the mesh like that. They're waiting for that. So I thought it was maybe that they did that. But okay, I like this, dude. This looks like a really valuable kind of tool.
So we did this last year, and I thought it went really well. And I say best advocate professor. And we had Chad Duncan on last year. This is Adrian Hill, Dr. Adrian Hill, and she was great. So I had never really had much of a conversation with her, and then we kind of started talking at one of the closing of the shows right after I was tearing down the podcast stuff and that sort of thing. And the thing that stuck with me, we were just talking about some of the challenges with education and such, but I really appreciate what she does to bridge the clinical and some of the business side of things. And so one of the things that we talked about was like people just coming into the field that are new, they may be fitting their patient and having a good outcome, but what you get reimbursed, let's say, is $1,000, but you pay $1,100 for that device. Well, you're better off, lighting $100 bill on fire, because there's so much that goes into this. And so what she does with her students, it's like a pass or fail. Does it code or not? Does it work or not? And so what it is you have a mock patient that you say, hey, that you need to provide this device. And so it's got to be clinically relevant with the right components. And then you also have to make it work, make make it to where you have a profit. So then you have to look at the components and the
Nice.
labor and all this, and that is super important. And so I just really appreciated kind of that perspective of it.
And the idea of doing that, not the first time live, but and also knowing that that's a thing, that you can't just put all the Rolls Royce stuff everywhere,
Yeah,
or you're not going to
100%.
only be fitting these myoelectric amazing stuff everywhere because hey, it's not going to work for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think it's cool, dude. I think it's cool.
cool.
Good idea. Good choice.
So we had Paul Gadonis on, the very first one, who was the CEO of MyMO.
Yeah.
It was great, and I believe so. They started early. I think it was 2011 is what he said, and then he came on with 2014. They're so far ahead of the curve in research, specifically around this exoskeleton, what works, what doesn't work, designs, some of the speed bumps. They have a roadmap that they want to get to of things making better. They're growing like crazy. So I really had to give best R&D because they're looking at this as the long term sort of thing to MyMO. And I think one of the most it was a great question on your part, but I think it was very telling also on Paul's part. Is you said, well, somebody's going to come in and gobble you up, and he pretty much said, we think we've got something so special that we're going to be one of those big companies very soon.
Yeah. I like that. I know why you're saying this, because you're always like, it's easy to go to like the new kid with a shiny new toy. It's always nice to say some new kid be like, oh wow, we did this thing. And these guys are more like kind of like, proving it out and grinding it out long term. I like that. I like that. I understand. You make things yourself, so you understand that this is a very different approach and much more difficult, really.
Well,
anyone can make something that works until the paint dries,
Yeah. Well, not only do you, like in this case, I think they've done some interesting things. So they have a medical director, they've got this commercial director, they have compliance, because all this stuff has to work together along with the FDA. And that's really a pain because it's a class 2 device. And so there's so much. So I think for them, they have the machine to collect the data, which is necessary to get it out and be compliant with the FDA. But then on the same thing, you're going to be able to start making better and better products, stair-stepping along the way.
Okay, man, that's valuable. And again, it comes back to what you said earlier: data, more data, better product.
Yep. All right. This one will be quick. The best restaurant within walking distance was this excellent one called Dos Caminos. It was an excellent Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
So
Dos
there you
Caminos.
go.
Okay.
Dos Caminos. So you were talking about booth design and such. And I thought HP did a really nice job. They had Dimension. So I'm hearing some music. Is that on your side or is that on my side?
That's on my side. I live next to. It's actually
perfect.
too weird. It's too weird. So I live in the center of Valencia, like the dead center of the city, right? And next to me, there's this communist foundation. And they managed to somehow in the 1800s get a building in the center of town, and they do like food and like worker council stuff. It's like actual communists, like really like actual true believer communists,
right?
And they have great lunch. They have great lunch. If you want to go, I'll take you if you come. And they also have music lessons and pianos, stuff like this to elevate the worker and the choral stuff and all this.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Every once in a while.
We get music, so I wasn't planning on the background track, but
and there's
I was like, do I have another window open? I mean, I don't think YouTube's open or anything. Okay,
there's a level difference. There's like one guy on Mondays. It's like a class, like an advanced class, and we're always like speaking back with a book, being like, "Wow." And then there's the guys that do like the the repeat stuff all over and over again. It's like, yeah, no.
So we were talking about booth and how important it was, and I think HP really hit it out of the park. They had Dimension there, they had Lubrizol there, and then they had Nate from the computational design side of things there. And I thought they just did a wonderful job kind of bringing everybody together. We had they had a lot of stuff from Quorum, some stuff from Leo Poly, some stuff from just Poto, So it just a lot of different things that were in that booth, and so it was super interactive too. So it's something that you can pick up, touch, feel, and everybody was so friendly there too. So I thought that was
Yeah, I think HP booths always have a ton of models there. And I think at least for the 3D printing industry, it totally makes sense just to put a ton of stuff there and then see what people do with it, you know?
yep. All right.
So yeah, good play.
So you may or may not know this name. I say the additive advocate. So Shinden, and I don't know Johannes. I would say that's about, but he's with Form Labs, and they always have a great booth too. But he is always so excited about different types of manufacturing, that sort of thing. And he's kind of the face of Form Labs, and he's 3D printing everything all the time, and getting out there and just educating people around it. And I got to know him just a little bit more this show, and it is just so genuine. About additive manufacturing, and obviously he works for Form Labs, but it also opens up a lot of other opportunities for conversation around additive manufacturing, pros and cons, that sort of thing. So, I think Form Labs got a good one in Shinden for sure.
How do you see like Farm Labs? Are they making inroads now? Are people more looking at it for small devices for prototyping for stuff like that?
So I
Or are
think,
they looking like the fuse in a big way?
yeah. So I mean, I think that Form Labs is interesting. It's got a small build volume, but I can't help, and nobody has told me this, but I can't help to think that once they kind of get this part down, especially with their acquisition of the other group, that one that was going to do the $3,000 SLS printer, I can't imagine that there's something that's not a little bit bigger to really kind of compete with some of the stuff that HP is doing, or far soon, that they can do. And now they've got some of the materials, the polypropylene, and some of the polyamides. But guess what? They put nitrogen on their machine, which means they could run PK 5000 if they wanted to. And so I believe that if their machine runs that, it's then starts getting very interesting, not only for the orthotic and prosthetic industry, but for those that are looking to do small parts on those machines that they want to act like polypropylene, so automotive and that sort of thing. So I definitely see a future if they validate PK 5000 on their machine. I definitely see a future where contract manufacturers, will choose to run a fleet of these for small parts. And
Okay.
that might be a pie in the sky thing, but that's just
No, I think if the right part, so things like doing like a large voluminous parts is not great, but if like orthoses maybe or something like a splint brace kind of thing, I think there could be a lot of stuff there. If you did like as a business, if you did like braces, which we have to talk about this separately, these kind of open braces, if that's a good idea or not.
yeah.
But imagine, and you fill it with other stuff that you print for other people, whatever keychains, I don't care. The economics will just start to add up really quickly, really, really well, and especially if you want to do it locally.
Yeah.
Like I talked to like a Dutch guy who has um, a service that does 3D printing orthoses, and they have like 125 points in the Netherlands where they sell these things. And for them, it's like, okay, when do we print on location and when not? And
Yeah.
for that kind of businesses, could be really exciting.
Yeah. Agreed. Best collaborating company. We have not had Paul Prusakowski on from OPI, but they had probably one of the most creative booths. And he had a massive, like, large screen TV, because it was so college football and NFL football were playing. So it was just kind of like a magnet for the people that want to watch football too. So, but they interact with all these companies. So all the companies they are the electronic medical records for the O&P industry. And there's a few others, but they're the main one. And so like they have an ordering system that there's all your main companies that you order from are integrated into them. So like you don't have to go and call Coyote and then call Bulldog and then go call Oser and Autobot. Like you can do it right there on the web. And they're always going out and finding these companies. And so they've integrated with Comb recently. They've integrated with Radii, and they've also integrated with some people that do like data capture. So you can take a video of your patient walking, and then you can break it down and draw lines, almost like training lines, and creating data points to help yourself get paid from the insurance company. And so not only are they trying to create this like little I say big, tribe of people that are helping each other, and these are independent companies helping each other, essentially clinicians. But now they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is. They're having a presence here, and their booth is always great, but this year it was really great. And trying to attract and become like a family. So not only outside of these conferences, but then they're doing mastermind groups and all this stuff. So when you get together, it's like, oh, hey, Bob, hey, John, hey, it's so good to see you. It's only been a few months, but now you're throwing a party at the AOPA, booth, and people are coming in and hanging out and that sort of thing. So I think it's a neat and it's a great way to go.
Interesting approach. Super interesting approach. Like
Yep.
be the nexus, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Last year we did this, the Wise Owl Award, and that went to Jen. And so this year it's going to go to Mitchell Dobson.
Okay.
You weren't on that, but he is part of like compliance and that sort of stuff for Hanger, but he's also the president of AOPA, which was the show that we went to. And I thought his insight was really great. He's been in the field for a long time, I think he said 28 years, and he's been volunteering for AOPA for that long as well. And I just love his perspective, and how he's trying to get everybody together. And I know we say it all the time, the rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what it's about. Even though part of a bigger company, Hanger Prosthetics and Orthotics, we need all the independents to also raise up as well. And doing this through AOPA was great. So if you have a chance, check out the interview. But I thought it was great. I thought his insight was great into how do we get the younger generation more involved. How do we get more coverage? So one of the things right now is people that have an amputation can only get one prosthesis in a lot of states. And so the insurance will not cover for them to have a sports prosthesis or something they can be active in, because they're two different ones. Like you wear your walking shoes, right? Or your dress shoes, and that you're not going to go run in your dress shoes, but insurance companies say, I don't care. You're going to be active in your walking prosthesis. And that's really not the right approach. And so AOPA has really taken charge of this. I forget so everybody can move. That's what the initiative is. So everybody can move. It's a grassroots at the state level to try to get people moving, because there was a story that I was a part of a little panel, and this guy lost, because he had a prosthesis, lost 50 pounds. So he was in bitter health. He got off of medication, that sort of thing. And he wouldn't have had that opportunity unless he had a prosthesis that he could move more in. And that's not your everyday prosthesis.
Okay, that's a good point, dude. And I think, yeah, imagine doing this for this long as well. I like that very much. The Mitchell's point about like, one thing's doing this for a couple of years, something, but doing this for 28 years to bring about change gradually. This is like your 20th talking point, that you're working on over decades. I like that very much.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, and you already foreshadowed it, even though you didn't know that we were going to do it. But the best of show.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
Was STIL.
You think so? Yeah. Oh,
that was the best break.
That's good. Yeah. I like the alignment on this.
Yeah. So you foreshadowed it. You almost blew it. I don't know, but I'm glad you didn't go too far down the road. I was gonna have to hold you back, rein you in a little bit. But a super innovative use, and so I think it's a couple things, right? So it's definitely a problem that affects a lot of people with the tremor side of things, but also the use of additive manufacturing in the brace was very novel. So he used a lot of assemblies, a lot of hybrid type of things. So some fabrics along with the brace itself, and then all the innovation that goes into that, whatever that mechanism was that allows the flexion extension, pronation, supination, flexion extension, all that. It's really incredible that there's no motors It's very lightweight. It was wild. And I know this is not, this was their first time, I think, at AOPA, but they've been working on this device for a long time. In fact, it's not even in the US yet. But I mean, for me, with everything that we like, the additive manufacturing, something novel, something that is effective, something that can be paid for in cash if your insurance company doesn't cover it. Like I forget what the cost was. I don't know if you remember
It's
what it was.
$2,000 or something,
Two
1,500,
thousand dollars. So like,
2,000.
um, if it makes that much of a difference, which I believe it does for the people that have trimmers, I think they're going to find $2,000. I really do,
A lot
and
of
I
people
think
would
and so I
get
think that
into it.
there is an opportunity here for something good. So, and I think you did a nice job describing the product and the
Yeah,
when we
to
had him
me,
on the podcast. I think it was great.
yeah, we should have him on the podcast like permanent, like a in-depth episode, because I think most people would have thought, just like we would. Okay, we have sensors. These muscle spasms, the sensor goes to a feedback, and you know what I mean. We would have made some kind of like robot for the hand, and then another thing to charge. Then all of a sudden, you have to be like, can I take it in the shower? Or then you have to IPv6 it or whatever, you know. And they just made it a complete mechanical thing.
Yeah,
And I think it's beautiful. I think it's very elegant, and it's really difficult to do stuff that's that elegant that actually works, right?
yeah.
And no batteries, no worrying about knocking it against somebody if you're playing lacrosse or like I know these guys are going to play lacrosse, but you know what I mean? It's like world proof, you know?
Yeah.
I like that very much.
Yeah. Well, so we didn't have as many as we did last year, but I thought this was a good kind of roundup of the whole thing.
Nice.
Um, I'm just trying to think of like if any other things that I really stuck out. Rapid liquid print was definitely in the in
Oh
the
wow, yeah.
in the whole thing. They had a really nice booth, some nice showing, and that sort of thing. I thought they did a nice job, and
I think
getting to meet them was really great too. And I
I
think
like the team a lot. I like the people a lot, and I also like this is one of these things that's going to take some time to percolate through. And people are going to be like, "What can I do with this?" But like, if you look at like little bumpers and dampeners and little cushions and stuff like that, grommet type of things, it's really going to be one of those things where this is something that we could use in our arsenal. And it's going to take a while for people to figure out what works, what size, what price point, and all this. But I think it's beautiful technology.
yeah. And so there were a couple others. So Proteor had a nice booth. We haven't had any of their guys on yet, but I'm hoping to. They have really moved into the digital space and kind of the iPad, and you can modify things, scan things. Everything can be done on the iPad. So that's pretty neat. The other interesting one that they've been around for a little while actually is Protosthetics. So we haven't had them on either. We need to do that. But so they have a model, and I think you'd really appreciate that, where they will put in a printer into your office for free, right? And you have a subscription, and then you will do the scan. You'll send the scan to them. They will modify it and then send the file back to your printer and print it, and then literally you take it off the printer and go fit it on the patient. So
Okay, I
um,
like that. And what's the printer like? Is it like kind of like a Creality or something, or what is it like?
So currently, it's a modified Lulzbot. So it's a USA made, but it's modified in the Z, so you can get up a little bit higher.
Cool.
Um, and so yeah, it works. It's not a super expensive printer, but it's a great way to minimize your capex
Mhm.
getting into this, and you've got somebody kind of coming along with you. So having that conversation with them
Okay, that'll
was
be exciting
was
as well.
really
Talk
great.
about that. Like, for example, do they have like a whole room of dudes modifying all these scans, or do they have some magical software to do it?
So I think it's dudes and dudettes, right? Doing the modification, and it's almost like the 3D system side of things. So like if you have a relationship with Bob,
Mhm.
then Bob's the one that you're going to be communicating the most to do the modifications and on that. So I think
Nice.
it takes a little bit of a page out of the 3D systems, patient specific implant and all that
Mhm.
stuff, the medical stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Agreed.
and then I think lastly, the AOPA people just did an amazing job with the show. Not only
Mhm.
with all the content. I mean, can you imagine trying to get, like, you've got, you know, I don't even know how many rooms they had going, and you've got to have content and moderators and all that to keep the
Mhm.
time, and recording stuff. So they recorded a lot of this voice and slides sort of thing. And so I got to know that team a little bit more, and just to kind of hear their heartbeat of what they're trying to do. I mean, super genuine people, and really wanting to take this field to the next level. And so yeah, it was just, it was a really great experience on my end. And you know how it is, like when you meet people in person, it's definitely different than meeting
Mhm.
people over Zoom or whatever. You get more of a
Mhm.
sense of their presence, their you
Yeah,
get to
tell it
hear their heart.
who they
You're
are,
right
whatever.
there. Yeah, yeah. It was just really, really great. And then, Comb Scan was in that conversation as well. They won an award last year, for a collaborator award, and they did the same thing again this year. It was really great. And you know I think John even chuckles. He goes, it's so easy that Yoris can do it. So I mean, you
It
said
is
that,
true though. I suck
yeah.
at scanning. I hate scanning, dude. I hate it. It's just going so wrong.
Yeah.
Like, very few things that cost me as much time as scanning has cost me. So really, I mean this. If I can
Yeah,
do this,
yeah.
you're
So
golden, man.
yeah, Shining 3D was there as well. So
Okay, very nice.
they've been kind of coming, and unlike some of the other scanner companies, it seems like they're really investing the time and energy into understanding our space. So I really appreciate
That's nice.
that sort of thing too. So those are the things. Those are kind of my thoughts off the top of my head on that. Just I we probably don't, we talk about the technology and all that stuff, but the really all this is about is the people that make the technology work.
Mhm.
And so meeting the people, the human capital, so to speak,
Mhm.
um, that was really special.
Okay,
Oh, the
cool.
the other company that was interesting was Bionit. So it's a
Mhm.
hand company.
Yeah,
And they have this, they drive all the fingers with two motors somehow through some sort of magic, but it's also fully waterproof. So it's a very interesting device. And um, the way they do their grip patterns is very interesting too. So it's some of it has to do with how the hand is being held. So for instance, if you put your hand down, your hand knows that it's probably going to go into some sort of grip that's going to hold like a bag or something like that.
because you're gonna go
So
like this, or you're gonna go like this to grab something, or you're gonna be like that. Oh, I
that's
like this. Is this
that's
is so
right. So
obvious, but okay, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
so they've put a lot of thought into that,
yeah.
and I
It
think
is. Yeah.
having some of that, yeah, 100%, yeah. So like some of the machine, the engine of some of that is really neat. So I thought
That's cool.
they, and
That's nice. Dude.
we had spoke with Jerry Stark, and he's always a good, a fun person to talk about. And I would say this is the last one that I thought was interesting is
Mhm.
there were some the group from Integrum, and we had Mike Jenks on. Actually, you weren't on that episode. Katie helped me with that one, but it was the
Mhm.
bone
Yeah,
integrations.
the
So
integration. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
kind of like your dental implants, that sort of thing, but it's an implant for the a knee and a foot. And so they were there, and got to meet some of their patient models and such. And it really is an amazing technology. So I'm excited to see where that technology goes in the future. I mean, I think it's kind of at a point now where it's going to start snowballing
Mhm.
into popularity, because there are a lot of issues with um, depending on your amputation length,
But
the socket fittings can be difficult. And so if you can
also the fact
literally
that we're amputating people the same way we're doing this during the First World War, essentially, and there's like a complete disconnect. Like I'm just going to amputate this dude, and then I'll give him to you like 3 weeks later, and
yeah,
it's like it's really crazy if you think about it, how important that is day to day, and how much people's comfort and the tiredness and just the overall pain level can be affected by how they do this. And also, you're like, what you can do? Can you play tennis?
right.
Maybe not. And then if we do it the other way, then maybe you can never play tennis again. That kind of stuff. Yeah. a better way needs to become in a more coordinated way where we're all like talking about what is the best way to amputate this person, and what is
Yeah.
then, if I do something like this as a surgeon, would you as a prosthetist do something different, and how does that work together? That's still the most shocking thing I think I found in all the episodes we've done. When a couple times, when 3 or 4 times, we come up with amputations, and how that's kind of like, such a cost center thing where it's like, oh yeah, we have to do that. We'll just saw it off. Like, yeah, it's all good. And it's like, come on, like what? This
Yeah.
is like, how do you make the interface with the device forever? And it has so much impact on people's lives, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So I thought that was interesting. And then I know I said that was the last one, but I would be remiss in pointing out point designs with the partial hand stuff. They're always doing amazing work. Chris Baschuk kind of leading that digital team, and then we've had Levin on before as well. I mean, beautiful, very niche products, innovative that truly make life change happen as well. So anyway, you can't. Everybody was great, right? These are kind of the ones that float to the top for me, and I didn't get to interact with every single booth. Oh, there was a guy that had air conditioning essentially for your socket.
Oh wow, we talked about that before, right? How to put cooling elements kind of in there and stuff, and like heat sinking and stuff. So it was like air conditioning, like an active air conditioning, like.
So he does it in 2 ways. So he has created this gel that when it compresses, it takes out some. And I mean, it started going over my head. My eyes started glazing fast, but I was interested. But it's like when it compresses, it takes out some of the thermal energy and cools.
Yeah.
At the same time, but then there's another thing that he had that's a mechanism that's like some sort of film that he uses, like a USB charger, like a charger that you would do for your phone, and literally you can feel this film that you put inside the socket cool. And what was interesting is Joe from Quorum, from the Quattro socket, he has a patient model and that sweats a lot, that does like an MMA fighting style. And so they put this liner on him to see, how sweaty he would get. He said he was not able to sweat, and he loved it. And so I think it's a game changer. And I think that there's already some like, because he's pretty far along in the development of the product itself. I think there's some people that are really wanting that information.
Imagine if like in Phoenix or Saudi Arabia or something, and everything is getting hotter, right? I mean, there's a lot of cities in Europe where it was like 40 or 35, 40 C. Sorry, I don't know what that is. For more than a month this year, so it's going to become a much more of an issue for more people. Imagine working outside in like a hot summer temperature or something. I think it's wonderful that somebody's working on this.
Yeah. We have a question that actually came in on YouTube that said, do you remember the name of that product?
Which product?
And it was called Rocket. I think it's called Rocket Tech. Rocket Tech.
Oh, the cooling thing.
Yeah, the cooling thing. So that was.
Yeah, otherwise I'll find it and we'll put it on.
Yeah, I'll put it in. But and I remember the last name was Gupta, G-U-P, Amog. Okay, let me hold on just a second. I'm going to get it. Amog. There he is. Amog Gupta.
Amog.
AMOGHG, and then his last name is GUPTA. So let's see. His company name is Rocket Tech. Rocky Tech, not Rocket. Sorry, Rocky Tech. So we'll put that. I'll just put this in the comment here.
That's cool. Did you have any idea if it was expensive or not?
I did not ask. I actually did an interview with him too, and so he had that, and it was very nice.
It would be cool, dude, because I think the temperatures. Imagine working outside, dude. The guys in Guatemala that you help with imagine, dude.
It would be a game changer.
Do some kind of farm labor type of stuff.
100%.
In the hot climate.
Yeah,
humid as well. Be terrible
I
to do
I
slip and
think
slide all the time.
yeah, well, and I mean, I know this is kind of a jest, but it's like those other people that would be working in the field and such. I could just be like him chilling out, literally, and other people are just sweating like crazy,
Big
like, hey man,
differences.
what's going on? Oh yeah, so
Yeah, and I know this because I test a lot of 3D printed shoes lately, and
oh,
that's terrible. I can tell you that's absolutely terrible. So I can kind of have an idea of how this would feel. At least the heating, the build up heating stuff. Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
Good. That's a cool product. We should talk to more to him as well. That could be really cool
Yeah.
as well.
So I mean, we have like 20 people that we need to get on the podcast now. So we're like good to the end of the year,
Okay,
probably
man.
beginning
All
of
right.
next year for guests now. But it was really great. So let me see if there's any other comments. I'm gonna open up
Yeah,
one
that's good.
here.
So I couldn't open the LinkedIn without it's just me hearing the audio of the LinkedIn, so it was like a little bit kind of complicated.
I don't see any comments in here. So for those that have hung in with us thus far, I'm gonna kind of clean up this. I'm gonna actually make this the podcast for this week, and then but then I'll
Awesome.
post the best of for the LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, and
And
also, I think if you cleaned it up, that one interview you did, I don't know if anybody's going to listen 3 hours or whatever, but that with all these people like successively, that could be really cool as well. Like maybe in 2 to 3 or something, that could be really nice.
so do you think we should do that? Like release them at 2 to 3,
I
or
think so. I think it's a really different format.
yeah,
Like
or
like
do we release
nowadays,
them as a one-off? Like we could
yeah,
do
I don't think a lot of people will stick around for 2 hours. You know,
no,
I mean,
no.
I don't even like giving movies like 2 hours a minute. It's better be a good movie.
Yeah.
So if we just did like an hour long but then with 2 or 3 people, I think it'd be really interesting.
Okay. Well, I think it should be pretty easy to do. I was actually super impressed. So for those that are nerding out on like the equipment that we use the
Yeah, Plantronics, right? And what
plant
else?
the Plantronics Poly something another. And then I had my computer open that was facing me. But one of the things that we figured out is if we did angles, so I had my computer facing me with the audio so I could hear
Mhm.
the other person, and then I had my phone literally like this facing the other person, and they were connected to my phone so they could hear me and they could hear you. It really worked out really well. So if I had to do it again,
Yeah,
um, this was a lesson learned. So the hotel, not the hotel, but the exhibit hall internet.
yeah.
I think I told you I paid $80 for 24 hours of access, and it was 3 megabytes down
But that's always
and
going to be the problem. The
and a
exhibit
half a
hall
gig
internet
up.
always going to be a problem.
So I think what I need to do, I talked to Paul Prusakowski. He is an Uber nerd on this stuff, and he brought his own like literally suitcase Wi-Fi that had 4 different antennas, and I think he had like 600 megs down and about the same
Can
up.
we pay for this?
So yeah, so I want to be next to his booth. But
Okay. Oh, okay. We could just be nice to him. This is
and-
also different. This is
or he
good.
might invite us into his booth. I don't know.
Okay,
So
okay.
we'll
This
have
is
to
good.
check on that. But nonetheless, I think next time there are some like commercial hotspots available, and yes,
Okay,
you
okay.
pay per gig, but it's high speed. But like one of that 3 hour episode, I think it took, I forget how long to upload all the tracks.
Yeah, but for me, it was really weird because you would be like, "Hey, and this is like, hey, yours. You know yours already." And I'm like looking at the screen, going like, "Who is this?"
Yeah,
And I literally
I
didn't
think
know.
that's a
It
good
was like
point. So
pixelated stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like,
yeah,
no,
but yeah,
you know,
like it was a crazy how many people walked by and
yeah,
recognized the
yeah,
Yoris. That was
yeah,
really cool,
yeah. That's
and
weird, dude.
it was
Yeah. Okay,
it
and
was
then
just
what else did you have? Did you have? Okay, we use Streamyard, by the way. We're really
so
happy
we
about
did
the Streamyard, right?
so
That
we
was
did stream. This is StreamYard. We actually did because I wanted to make sure I captured all the tracks separately. I used Riverside, um, which is the Riverside.fm to record both the audio and the video.
mhm.
And I think StreamYard would have been better if the live video for the live video, like what we're doing now,
Mhm.
but Riverside downloads to the local computer and then uploads back up, and so you get the raw stuff. So I thought like it would be better to do the Riverside, even though I was giving up the video for the live. I
Mhm.
thought being able to chop up not only the video, each video, but then
Mhm.
the audio, chop that up individually. I thought that was a big, potentially a big deal. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't
and
know. I
do
don't
you have
know if
like
I
an SSL too or something, kind of like a mic in or not? The mics are just cool.
no, it was Bluetooth. So all the things that they tell you not to do, but
Yeah, exactly.
these
That's not supposed to
poly
work now.
headphones, I didn't even charge while we were there. It's got 25 hours of battery.
That's
So
super nice. Dude.
I mean, it was crazy. So I for those headphones, I think were like $160. But like if I would have had this microphone with the SSL, it would have been wicked loud. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it this needs a quieter place.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so the way that I found the headset stuff was I was watching a YouTube video, tried to figure this out, and it
Mhm.
was a guy in a coffee shop, and he
Mhm.
does business Zoom meetings,
In
and
a
so
coffee shop?
he yeah, and so he tried a whole bunch of different headsets, and this one was the best. Like you couldn't even tell. He had a decibel meter of the noise inside the coffee
Yeah.
shop, and I was like, man, I got to get a set of these, and
Okay.
it was great.
You used 2, right? One for you and one for the guest, or
Correct. Yeah, so that's
you had
the
2 computers, right?
so I had my computer and my phone.
Okay.
So I
Crazy.
think if I was to do it again,
Yeah.
I would probably do my computer, but I don't know that I would record to the computer. I would use that to set everything up, but I would potentially do 2 phones,
Really?
and then do Bluetooth
And
to
with the
both phones.
Bluetooth, the batteries didn't go to, or did you have them plugged in all the time?
I had my phones plugged in,
Okay.
but,
Wow.
yeah, so it was
It's crazy. I think you did a great job. I think you did a lot of work, and it really paid off, dude. I think it was really, really good. It's way better. I've tried to do this a couple times, and it's always like hugely terrible. And this is great. This is fun. This is entertaining. I watched back our episode we did together, and it was good. It was like it was entertaining. It was fun, and it worked. And it looked, yeah, it looked. It was a good thing to listen to. So I'm super happy with this, dude.
yeah, yeah. Well, so and I think AOPA was gonna be happy with it too. So, I mean,
I
I know
hope
I'm
so.
speaking for them, but I think so, yeah, it was great. So, I really appreciate you making the time. I mean, it was Saturday night late, right? Your
No, that's
girlfriend
fine.
was probably like,
I wish.
"What in the world is this guy doing?"
No, next time I think we should plan a little bit more in advance. I had more of a. I didn't know it was going to be in the weekend, for example, because no one does trade shows in the weekend. So we should. I should block book stuff like way in advance,
Yeah.
or
Well,
maybe even
and
make it down there. Right, that would be even better. Because
it
Brent
was
and I still have not met, by the way.
that's right. Yeah, we have not met in person. And here's the interesting thing
Yeah,
is
yeah,
I do think that there's ways. I just didn't know how like the exhibit hall and all that stuff. So we had to
yeah.
be a little bit more free flowing on that. But I think in the future, yeah, we can actually set blocks of time now that we've got the tech stuff down. We know
Mhm,
kind of what setup worked, and
mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think I would even bring in probably like a potential like a like a big screen TV
Really.
to so people could actually see it. So people could obviously see on my that we were recording something. But
Mhm.
I mean, what was crazy
One
is
of those
we were on a
on-air things. We need like an on-air like
oh,
light.
you should I should have taken a picture of it. I had an on air well, I should have put it on the
Yeah.
table, but I had a nice on air banner as well. I that I was
Okay.
really excited about that. Dale Schneider, we've had him on, but he does a lot of the graphics and such
Mhm,
for us on that. So
mhm.
that was
Cool.
that was fun. So yeah, man.
All right, awesome.
Well,
All right.
that is our show for today. Thanks for those that are have stuck in there with us watching this live.
Thank
We
you for listening, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed going to AOPA if you went to AOPA, or
yeah,
maybe you can catch it vicariously kind of through us if you
that's
didn't
right.
go.
That's right. Well, and
Um,
I think there was some of that. Yeah. And in enough advance, do you think you might be able to make it next year live?
I should be able to. I was gonna comment. There was all
Yeah,
sorts
yeah.
of stuff coming up
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah,
maybe I didn't. I want to, and I definitely want to go eventually.
yeah.
So
So,
totally cool. Let's try aim for it, or at least like block more times to do more of this next time.
yeah. Or, maybe we should try to see what shows are going on over on your end of the world, because I'd like to come to Spain too.
Really?
And
What are the big prosthetic shows though? What is it? AOPA? What?
so you've got AOPA, the Academy show,
Yeah.
and then you've got OT World is the big one that I think is every 2 years.
Okay.
So it won't be till 2026. And I don't know. So there's an International Society of Orthotists and Prosthetists that is, but I think that show is in Houston this year. And it's while I'm in Guatemala.
Okay.
But they usually like go around to different places too. So, that might be an interesting one too. Typically the people that go
20,000 visitors. Look at the OT World thing, dude.
Oh,
That's
the
like,
OT will
wow.
be a big one. That's like the form next
Oh,
for
for the thing.
for the
And where is it? We don't know.
I don't know where the OT World's gonna
Oh,
be.
Leipzig. Leipzig is pretty. It's kind of boring, but it's pretty.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that, dude. Let's try to go there.
So that is it 2026?
Yeah, 2026. So a little bit planning a little bit ahead.
We should hit them up and see if they'd be interested in us
Totally.
coming
I'd
on.
love to do it.
Because here's the cool thing about OT World is that you get to see stuff that wouldn't necessarily be in the American market.
Yeah.
So you get to see a lot of the stuff from Japan, China, that sort of thing. So some stuff that I would never see would be there because their market is more the European market. I think it would be pretty wild. So that might be a good one.
Let's look at that. Okay. Anyway, this is a successful experiment and a lot of fun. And this is awesome, dude.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for your time today, Joris. And
thank you for listening,
guys.
everybody. Thank you for doing this, Brent.
Yep. Take care.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.